The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, and welcome to today's webcast, Concept Development with Autodesk Alias. During the presentation today, all participants will be in a listen-only mode. There will be a Q&A session at the end of our call using the questions submitted through the Q&A feature. During our presentation today, you can ask the question anytime you like by clicking the question mark icon you'll find on the lower right-hand side of your screen. Please note that during our desktop share today, you will see a crosshatch on the screen that is from our desktop share application. At this time, I'd now like to turn the call over to Joanna Scott. Please go ahead.
Hello, and welcome to the 2010 series of webinars from Autodesk Alias. My name is Joanna Scott, and I'm the group editor here at CDN and Interior Notice. Before I introduce today's presenter, just to remind you that today's webinar will last around 1 hour. That's made up of a 45-minute presentation, followed by a Q&A session lasting for another 10 to 15 minutes. Please post questions at any time using the on-screen text panel, and Kevin will try to respond to as many of you as possible. Today's webinar is entitled Concept Development with Autodesk Alias. As well as looking at concept modeling and visualization Alias, we'll also be taking a close look at Autodesk's new product, Alias Sketch. So, joining us today from New York is Kevin Richards, who is Autodesk's competitive marketing specialist. Kevin, if I can now hand over to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, let me dive into, I'm going to bore you guys with a few slides first to start off with, just as a little introduction. So today, I just want to first start out by covering Autodesk. Many of you are probably familiar with Alias product line, but Autodesk as a whole is very versed in all those software applications they offer. You probably are familiar with Autodesk Maya, 3ds Max, AutoCAD, Alias, Inventor, and probably Showcase as well. But we also have applications that have a very wide range in the automotive industry. Here you can see pretty much all the processes and applications that we have specific to the automotive. Today we're going to look at concept sketching and modeling. Later on in the webinar series we'll be looking at Class A surfacing and visualization. But you can also see that we have a full range of mechanical design applications, electrical, all the way down to the factory floor, including machine design, tooling, installation, buildings, you name it, we've got it covered. We're all here to take a look at the Autodesk Alias family of products. Here you can see Alias Automotive, Alias Surface, Alias Design, and a brand new product, Alias Sketch. This new product, Alias Sketch, is a very unique painting application. It includes both paint workflows and vector workflows that use the exact same paradigm, so you really can switch between them without having to change your mindset. Perfect for hand sketching or technical illustration. Another new product that we've introduced this year is Alias Design for Inventor. This is included with Alias Design. This is an add-in for Inventor that adds in concept development workflows and really unites the mechanical engineering and industrial design workflows. Very exciting. For this webinar, we'll be looking at the early process of developing a car, mainly into the painting and concept modeling workflow. Next, we'll have the technical surfacing webinar, as well as the visualization webinar. So let's get started. Here you can see Alias Automotive. Now I'm using Automotive just because that has all of the features available in the Alias product line. This is what students would use and almost all of our automotive customers as well. Let's first start out by taking a look at some sketching processes, paint workflows within Alias, and then take that through to some concept modeling and so on. Go ahead and we're going to take a look at an example, a non-automotive example, just to start off with. Accept all those options. While I have this up, let's go ahead and take a look at what Alias has to offer. Alias, if you're not familiar with it, is a complete design package. It includes painting, surfacing, Class A modeling, all mesh tools as well. So you can see that this head is actually a polygon head, along with visualization. One of the unique features of the Alias interface is the marking menu. Here you can see I have direct access to all of my common tools and menus that I commonly use. This allows me to move along very quickly. I'll be using this throughout the presentation. So if you don't see things changing, or as far as me going to different tools, I'm using my marking menus, and I use them very fast, so they hardly even show. Okay, let's take a look at the paint workflow. Inside of Alias, under the layout, there's a paint layout tool. And this brings us into more of a 2D layout window that you would find in other painting packages. Here, let's take a look at some finished drawings here. I've got this snowboarding helmet, various views. Within one wire file, I have all of my necessary views in order to see this drawing. These views can be set up based on top view, side view, back view. And that way, when you're modeling, you have direct access to those for referencing while you're modeling to get it exactly, or to be able to hold that design intent all the way to the end. Take a look at how that works. I'm using, just to let you know, I'm using a Wacom Cintiq to do the presentation. Any of the tablets will work exactly the same as what I'm showing here. Here I have a very rough sketch. Now this rough sketch will allow me to come in here and quickly use tools like airbrushes. Actually, let me just pull up my control panel here, which gives me additional brush tools, including presets in that. So all the paint tools that you're probably used to, such as airbrushes, paintbrushes, texture brushes. Listen, I will put some diamonds on the screen here. That looks nice. Diamond helmet. So all the paint tools are as you would expect. What some people don't realize is that we also support a full workflow with curves. And with curves, I can come in and select any of my curves on the screen. Here I have some curves just laid out for the top of this helmet. I'm going to open up my layer editor to show you how all of this comes together. Let's first do some freehand sketching, and then I'll use the curves to do some illustrations for the various effects. To begin with, I'm going to use let's just use a wide paintbrush. Grab that guy. We'll just change this to white. And I have already set up some outlines for masking. These masks allow me to use the curves that I've drawn to make all of my masked out areas. This will allow me to come in here and quickly link my different layers to my drawing by make this visible. And we'll just add a new layer. There we go. Actually, I just displayed all my other ones. Here's what we got going. So now I'll link these to the appropriate layer. Let's turn off that background just so we have a black one. And I'll just begin to draw in here. There we go. And I'll just paint this in all white. We're going to make a white helmet for this. Next, I'll use my airbrush, change this to a darker color, and now I can really nicely just come in here and airbrush this in. Once I have that airbrush, now I can go to the various details. Let's go ahead and just zoom right into these. Switching to an event is simply linking, adding a link to the various types of masks that I have. For this one, I'll make the highlight here, and then just add in a little shadowing on the one side. Notice none of the paint goes to the other area, so it's very easy to come in here and make these changes and modifications. I'm using hotkey to adjust my size of my brush. We can also use a hotspot. I'm going to move that up here a little bit. So I can interactively change my size and all the different features of the paintbrush tool. Let's just go ahead and paint this in. Paint these in really quickly. All the best. We'll add in our shadows. We're going to have the light coming in from the left. And that looks really nice. Next, I can go to, say, the line drawing to outline this. Let's go ahead and switch over to a pencil. And I'll just grab, say, a black. And here, I'm using paint snap. So if you're familiar with the magnet snap that you would use within drawing, I can simply select paint snap and use any of my curves to snap alongside of them. One of the nice features is if this was a part line, I could switch this to the edge snapping, set it to a highlight, and then snap only along one edge. And that way I can get my part line highlight and shadowing with the exact same curve. And that's a really nice feature when you're making cut lines, especially like cars and all the shunt lines. To finish this drawing off, let's just go ahead and outline the entire area. This outline will help just pop it off the background. So let's use a paintbrush, and I'll just go ahead and use black, and I'll just scribble something on the outline to pop it off the page. There we go, fill in all the holes. And again, paint masking allows me to do this very quickly. I'll go ahead and snap this along the edge there to fill in these last gaps. Now let's take a look at some of the shape features. For shapes, shapes allow me to use the curves to define say, a color mask or a ramp. I'm just going to select the inside mask here. I'll hit accept. Here you can see it's blue. I have my outlines turned off. I can set those to any color or size, or I can simply just turn the visibility off. For the fill parameters, set here, I have my color that I can just automatically update, or I can use map and say choose my ramp or any of my textures that I would like. This allows me to set up a gradient very easily to position along here. I can add in additional curves and hit accept there as well. And these will all use the exact same ramp and remap them for this particular piece. Grab these guys. If I grab groups of curves and do that, they're going to use the ramp over multiple regions. So this little discrepancy, or little change allows you to use ramp over all of the curves selected or the individual pieces. That makes it very powerful to come in here and be able to quickly set up all these curves. Actually, grab the outlines of all these, all the different regions, and we'll just do that, and then I'll fill them all in at the exact same time. Again, using the same map. If I could simply go back to this, now I can change this to any position that I would like. So that's very cool. Once I have that set up, I can take the curves now and modify those, and all of my drawing is going to go along for the ride and update, just as you would in other illustration packages. Let's take a look at a unique workflow that really brings all of these features together into a 3D model. Now this file was set up by my colleague, Michael Jelinek. He has a very unique workflow where he'll work, let's actually turn off all of our surfaces here. He'll create a drawing, such as here, of this car. You can see he's used stamps or texture brushes directly from the library and drew out a side view of his car. He's outlined the car here with curves, and these are the exact same curves you would use in 3D modeling as with the paint tool. Now, if he's let all the paint run past the boundary, that's very important because when you want to start using this in 3D, we're going to want to make sure we have no edges along this model. This is all curves, very easy to do. Many designers get hung up on having to surface a car. Now, surfacing a car is difficult. It takes time. It takes a lot to understand all of the different surfacing tools. But here, what he's done is he's taken his curves, and they're just simple curves, and I think they're blend curves, or some of them are blend curves that are stamped to create closed boundary regions. Once you have these curves set up, under surface, there's something called curve networks. Curve networks allow you to come in and choose, let's create a new curve network, pick all of the curves in this model. There we go. Create all of the curves in this model and create a network. Let's switch this over to modeling, and just to keep this simplified, I'm going to turn off the isoparms here. Once I have this model, yikes. Sorry about that, guys. Let's go set my old projection. Once I have this set up, now it's automatically surfaced anything that was a closed boundary. These areas that need to be a little bit smoother, I can just switch to tangency. Now this looks like a mess of text here, but once you have all of this up, I can just bounding box over the word, and then it's going to resurface that, or make those transitions to be tangent. Once it rebuilds that, now those will be tangent continuity between those. So you can quickly go in there and modify them simply by selecting or clicking on the text. With this model, I can come in, and I'm going to bring up the canvas that I have here. I can integrate the canvas and the surface model all into one feature. So what I'll do here is I'm going to select the canvas, select my surfaces, bring up the, I think I might have deleted my wheels here, which probably wasn't going to be the best thing to do. Might want to just reopen that, but we'll go ahead and select our canvas. Under canvas, I have a project sketch option. Here I'm just going to say all the active objects with all the canvases. So I only have one on here. Oh. Well, that's interesting. There we go. Much better. Now, what I have here is I've taken this sketch and I've projected it onto my model. This model is just a real quick and dirty model. Very fast, not really worried about much of the detail. I'm going to use my sketch in order to draw all of those details out. Once I have this drawing or view completed, now I can tumble the drawing, be able to position it into a different view. And I could come in here and say new overlay canvas. And now literally, I can come on and draw directly on top of this model to finish off the details. Just make that a slightly smaller brush. So let's say we wanted to have some vents back here. I can draw in this view to finish off this model and really be able to capture the proportion of any angle that I would like to be able to show this in all views and in any of the details. Any detail variations I can do or want to do, I can just simply draw some new ones. Let's change the shape of the tail ends back here. Maybe we'll have a little piece up there. And then if I want to have a different variation of the tail lamp, I can just tumble it to a new view, tap on the screen, choose overlay, and now I have yet another way or another view that I can draw here. So this makes it, again, very easy to go through many different iterations and views all at once with the same model and really capture, be able to turn this car all the way around. This is perfect for professionals or for students that are just learning to really be able to rotate their model into all the views and really figure or solve their model in 3D as opposed to just in a side view or in a 2D drawing. Next, let's take a look at a workflow that involves mesh data. So mesh data, or polygons, is very common when using scan data. With when the clay model is finished, or when I should say a surface model is finished, go ahead and I want to turn that down. Transparency. I'm just going to turn down my mesh transparency, and that way I can see right through that. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off our ground plane and our shade setting. There we go. Now we have just the shading of the model here. So with mesh data is produced from a scan data. Here, in this example, I've actually taken surface data of this car and converted it to polygons. So under the mesh tool, I have mesh tessellation, NURBS the mesh. Once that's completed, then I can go in and build simple curves that highlight the different areas. And again, I'm just snapping directly to the mesh data here. I've real quickly laid out curves that define all of the kind of the main character lines of this vehicle. I already have set up what we call a transformer rig. So let's just go through that process. I think we're going to have some time there. Under Object Edit is Dynamic Shape Modeling. Dynamic Shape Modeling is perfect for the concept design phase because it allows you to make very large changes to the model very quickly without having to be a surfacing expert. I've selected all of the mesh pieces in this file. I'm going to select what we call a free modifier. These modifiers will allow me to simply come in. I'm going to turn off everything, selection, everything but curves. And I'll just take all my curves. Make sure they're all selected there. Hit Accept Modifier. And then this will take just a few seconds to attach. Once these curves are attached, I'm going to be able to freely move the curves anywhere that I would like and have the model update. Now, we're going to do some really challenging changes to this car. We're going to basically shorten the wheelbase, and the entire car will change proportions. Once I have the rig set up, I can exit all of these tools and just go into just the model. Let's actually turn off our control panel as well. Now, I can move individual curves if I would like. So, for example, if I wanted to change the roof line, I'll just grab these curves and let's say I'll move them up just a little bit. It's going to go through and recalculate the mesh so that it has that changes along those character lines. We'll just switch back here, turn off the model real quick, and you can see that it's done a very good job of holding everything together and being able to change the roof line. Now that took a few seconds after I let go of the curves to change. If I simply come here to this H, the H represents the construction history. So I'm going to temporarily say Suspend Rebuild. Now I'm going to go into my side view, and now I can simply come in here and choose all of my curves that I would like to modify, move them. So we're going to pull this way back. There'll be kind of a two-seater sports car, maybe, I don't know. We'll just make a big, broad change to this just to show the concept. Here I'm going to just move the curves to exactly where I want. I could go in here and just change all the little pieces, all the character lines. Now this is a major change, so this is going to take just a few seconds to complete. Once I have this calculated, you're going to see that all the surface quality and the transitions have maintained and held together. I could instantly take this and make a presentation out of this to show a drastic variation. Look, I must have missed a piece selecting there when I selected my meshes, but that's okay. You can see that I've drastically changed this car from a very long car to a much smaller wheelbase. If I simply come into the original settings, I can say Show Original Geometry or the modified version. So you can see major, major changes, and all done within mesh data. Now this would work with curves or surfaces, but with mesh, this allows you to have a scan directly from a clay, make massive changes to that, and be able to mill that out directly or right back onto the model to see those changes without having to spend the time to resurface the model. So that's very good for reducing the time to make these changes. Let's touch upon the visualization features. I'm going to start out with the file that I originally had had open when I started Alias. Here you can see a fairly complete model of this vehicle. The shade settings, the hardware shade settings are very powerful. Within 2011, we've added some new features made the features easier to use for anti-aliasing and ambient occlusion. While this is calculating, I'll just explain ambient occlusion a little bit. Probably some of you aren't familiar with it. Ambient occlusion is the shadowing that happens when two objects get near each other. It's typically in the corners of, say, a room or in a part or in a vehicle, all of the cut lines, or just as like the two surfaces, like in the wheels or the rims come together, there's going to be natural shadowing that happens between them. We can now calculate those now and be able to bake those into the model so that they'll be visible when viewing in the hardware shape setting. This has got a lot of geometry, so it's going to take just a second to display everything. Once I have this shaded for the first time, the second time will be much faster. There we go. So here is just your normal shading. Go ahead and turn off our wireframe just to take a look at this car, the entire car. Now right now the highlighting or the shading looks fairly dull. What I want to do is I'm going to add HDR or image-based lighting to the model. If I switch this over to the visualization panel, you can see in the environment section of the library, and by the way, we have a very extensive library now of crazy amount of materials. So here's all sorts of metallic paint, plastic, you name it, the material is here. At the top of this list is environment. These environments are preset environments that allow you to introduce image-based lighting or HDR lighting to the model. Oh, awesome. Out of memory. Wah, wah, wah. I should have. I'm on a 32-bit machine here. On a 64-bit machine, you're able to use as much memory as you have on this, available. Looks like I have multiple applications running. I ran out of memory. That's too bad. HDR lighting requires quite a bit of memory for both video card and for your system. Let's just exit out of that and move on. So next in our presentation is Alias Sketch. Alias Sketch is a brand new sketching application that combines both paint workflows and vector workflows. So let's take a look at this. So the drawing tools, you can see, well, first of all, let's talk about the interface. As you can see, this interface is very unique to all of our applications. It's got a very flexible design that allows me to move any of these elements around or snap them together. Once I've snapped them together, you can see that I can move these pieces or tear them away and place them anywhere that I would like. So I could have these all lined up on one side or be able to separate them. The small arrows allow me to expand or minimize the interface into different levels. So for here, for all the brush presets, I can minimize the different elements that I would like, have a preview, or just go with the preview and be able to work from there. So let's draw just a few lines just to show how this works. So the drawing tools are very familiar with what you're probably used to from either Alias Sketch or from, actually I'm jumping ahead of myself, look at the paint tool, from Sketchbook Pro or from Alias. We want to just come in here and just draw some, that front wheel is certainly not round. So we can just draw, a quick car drawing, whatever we would like. come in with airbrushes, add different layers. You can see marking menus are available here. So I can just add in some airbrush. Go ahead and switch this to a really soft brush. There we go. And be able to paint and erase anything I would like. The unique features that we have here are found in, say, like the color selection, the ability to have swatches, a unique color wheel that shows us all the colors, sliders, or this brand new feature, which is based on an object. This allows me to come in here and say, let's say a cube, be able to set the color, pick the various areas of this brush, or this box here, and we'll just paint in based on the color of this box. So I can very quickly come in here and pick all of the different conditions or the lighting size and color of a cube. So that's very unique within the sketching application. Between the different paint layers and the vector layers, you will see no difference in the way that the tools respond. Here, I've switched this to a vector layer. And let's take a look at some of the vector features. So for now, I'll turn off the paint. The vector tools are going to respond exactly the same way as paint tools. So I can come in here and just do my drawing as I would like. Or let's go ahead and just show some of the various ways that we can modify these. There we go. With the modification, I can come in and pick any of these, and you can see that I can now modify the paint stroke or the drawing. Once I have this modified, now I can come in here and make even further edits, such as adjusting the pressure or the size or the intensity. So for this example, it's actually just kind of wash out the size of this particular curve. Now you can see that I've modified that. Once I go back to this, when I move this around, those modifications are going to go along for the ride. So I can go in there and instantly adjust my drawing. If I've made some areas that I don't particularly like, I can simply smooth those out by coming in here. Actually, use this one. Smooth. I can come in here and interactively pick and adjust the areas that I would like to modify. Actually, just remove this area and have it look something like that. It will go in there and modify that particular section. If I would like to straighten out a piece, I can pick the two areas and adjust the straightened area or how much of a straight line I would like. These circles on the outside adjust how it blends in to the original piece. Let's have it something like that. And now I'll have a straighter section go through all those elements. The last one that's pretty interesting is a filleting tool. You can see, again, it's fully interactive and allows basically a blending between multiple curves. So if I want to adjust between these two curves, I have multiple areas I can edit. And I'm going to edit from there to there and just click OK. And now you can see that that blends from one curve directly to the next. If I'm used to more of a point select option, I can also do that. So I can come in here. Let's grab our brush, and I can just build my point as I would go, select OK, and then be able to edit these after the fact. So that's pretty unique. Let's take a look at some of the fill region areas. So I'm just going to build a box, whatever we would like here. I'm going to take paint fill and just drop that into this area. You can see there's an interactive gradient feature here that allows me to adjust all of the elements of the gradient, including the color, directly onto the screen. Let's have this, take that into black. And this one. And adjust it. Right now you're seeing it's all linear. If I simply want to have this adjust to the shape, I can select the edges and just drag this gradient anywhere on this drawing that I would like. This allows me to make some very nice modifications and have the gradient flow along with the the contour, the shape that I'm looking for. So that's a very unique setup for gradient workflow. Oh, I just hit deleting the main map. So gradient workflow. And any of these features have history if I'm using the vector tool. Another unique feature that allows very similar interaction is our warping tool. So here, I can adjust the drawing, or a series of drawings, simply by selecting them, click on the edges, hide our UI here, click on the edges to warp it around, add in any amount of level of detail that I would like, along with the ability to just set that and adjust all of these pieces. Hit enter, and now I can start taking this side view drawing, what was more of a side view drawing, and start turning it around just by using my warp tool. Make some adjustments here. And so I've taken a side view drawing and now made a perspective drawing from that by using these warp features. So that's very powerful, again, for learning or for taking a side view and keeping the proportion but adding perspective to it. Let's look at some finished drawings here. Let's go here. Let's take a look at a side view. Now here is a finished drawing. You can see there's a number of layers here. All of the features, or many of the gradients, are all set up by with vectors, or ramps, I should say. So here, I've taken a ramp, and you can see all the points that I've added. Now, each of these points are adjustable so that it flows, or the gradient flows exactly along the contour of my car. After the fact, if I want to adjust the lighting or add color, I can come in and add all of those details after the fact. That's very powerful. If I want to add in some additional features, such as these these shaped areas where I've got a sharp reflection line, I can do that very easily with vectors. One of the options within the airbrush is what we basically a highlight tool. So I can come in here and add in a gradient. I'll just add one up here. You can see that is fully adjustable after the fact. It gives me automatically highlighting or shadowing. If I need to make adjustments to that, I can select that, come in, add points, remove point, adjust the shape, and even adjust the intensity or the amount of pressure that I have. So here, I'm just going to have it blend out a little bit on the edges. I can even reduce the size of that so that it has real nice gradient out of that. And so I'm using a vector in order to describe that highlight or reflection line. So that's very powerful, the way of adjusting and make changes after the fact. Let's open up another file here to take a look at some of the Symmetry tools. Now, anybody familiar with Alias product family has a very powerful set of Symmetry. We recently added those same Symmetry features to Sketchbook Pro. Now here in Alias Sketch, we've taken those tools to the next level. Now it's more of a mirrored metaphor where we have full history. So for example, I've only drawn in one section of this boat. From the layer, I have options of changing, say, blend modes, or at the bottom here is the Symmetry. The Symmetry is fully interactive, so I can place the symmetrical kind of line or plane anywhere that I would like after the fact. In the other application, it happens kind of while you're drawing. So you set up Symmetry and you paint, and the paint is reflected onto the other side. Since this is a history-based Symmetry feature, or a layer-based one, I actually have a lot more control. I've added that layer into a folder, which allows me to take that entire symmetrical area and add in all of my kind of radial symmetry that I would like. Once I have that set up, I can go back to the original drawing and make pretty drastic modifications. Since I have its full history, I can make modifications after the fact, and it would entirely update the entire wheel. Let's go ahead and adjust the intensity of some of these areas. Like along this edge here, I want to reduce the amount of intensity and wash this detail out from the beginning to the edge. Once I make those changes, you can see that it's again reflected to all the different scopes. So I can make a lot of really quick changes and adjustments very easily. If I like one design, I can simply come in here and create this way, show you in the layer here so as I can see. I can create what is called a new asset. So here I've got one page. I'm going to simply create a new page, and this takes my previous drawing. I want to create a new page. I want to copy this one. Zoom out here. Go to update. I can take this one and I can duplicate it, which allows me to make variations very quickly. Now I can have one drawing and update, or switch to another page with the exact copy of it and make changes to this one. So we'll go back to that scope and edit this piece. And now very quickly be able to modify between two different drawings or assets. So there's one variation. And then I can just quickly switch over to the other page, let this refresh, and have yet a completely different design based off the exact same elements or layers. So a very unique workflow for creating variation. So it looks like we're coming to the end of our presentation here. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm going to open it up to questions and answers from this point on for the next, say, 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you again. Go ahead and open it up for questions. If you would feel free to write in your questions into the Q&A box, and then I'll be able to see them and read them out loud to answer those. Give me 1 second. Let me just find, I'm reading through a pretty large list of questions here. So there's a question about model manipulation with curves or only with mesh models. And I'm assuming that you're referring to the dynamic shape features that we showed with the polygon model. No, you can use any kind of combination of features in order to manipulate a mesh, surface, or curves. So I could take a plane, I could take a curve, I could take any of the objects and attach them to a mesh or a surface or curves and make modifications. In some examples, it makes more sense to use, say, like a combination of the features in order to make your changes. If you're trying to hold a shape, such as a wheel arch or a particular surface, you can use that as a constraint, a surface as a constraint, and that way it maintains the overall kind of the shape of that. When you make the changes to the surface, it will be a broad change as opposed to being based off the character line. So, yeah, you can use any combination with the dynamic shape modeling features. The next question is, when will Alias Sketch be available? Alias Sketch is available right now. It launched about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. We launched a few weeks ago, and is available right now. I believe the Alias Sketch trial is also live. You're able to find that if you go to www.autodesk.com/Alias Sketch. I can also write that out. I believe I can write that on this text so that you can have an instant link. So just put Autodesk.com and put an Alias Sketch after the slash. Alias Sketch is at $500. I believe the next question is, what price is Alias Sketch? And it is available at $500 and available on both Mac and PC. So it's a very easy to get into package for any platform. And just to note, Alias Sketch is also available as an add-on into AutoCAD, directly into AutoCAD. So with the purchase of Alias Sketch, you get both the standalone version that we've seen here, along with the add-on version for AutoCAD, which enables all the many of the sketch features directly in the architecture application. Is there an option? The next question is there an option to showcase multiple sketch projections in Alias in the same window? Right now, you would have to duplicate the model into separate, so you have separate surfaces for each sketch projection or each canvas projection. Once you've set that up, you could just move the models apart and then be able to project one drawing onto each surface model to show all the variation. So it is a little bit of a manual work, but it does reduce a lot of time from having to model all the details to see your drawing projected on the 3D object. So it takes a little bit of manual work. Can I import and export curves to Alias Automotive is the next question. I'm assuming that you're referring to Alias Sketch curves, and that is a very good question. Currently, Alias Sketch is built on top of DWG. Any of the curves, I can select them and export the curve as a DWG drawing file. Those curves can then be brought into the various applications that support DWG. Since Alias Sketch is such a brand new application at the moment, bringing it into automotive is not, I believe, is not possible. I would have to verify that for you. I know between like AutoCAD and Inventor it is, but I believe automotive, I would have to check to make sure that the DWG import is capable of importing it, since it is such a brand new product. The next question is, can we modify the shadows at the wheel or at the wheel? And that would be yes. These shadows, or the shadows, many of these shadows are created with the vector tool. Since I have this open, I believe I can make these modifications fairly quickly. Let's go ahead and do that. So any of these shadows are referring to, I believe you're referring to these shadows, can be modified. If they are painted, then we would have to repaint them or erase them. Here I can take the edit. I'm going to just select these curves, this one, and then here I have all of my editing, such as pressure, size, and intensity. I could also just select the curve and be able to modify where those fall onto the shape. So you are able to make these modifications if they are done with vectors. That's a very good question. Yes, so some of these shadows, the next question would be, what is the capability of using purchase HDRI into Alias? So Alias supports longitude and latitude HDR images. It also supports vertical crosses. If you're familiar with those formats, those are usually the formats that come with purchase HDRI. And those, as far as limitation, the main limitation would be based on how much memory you have, as you've seen with our example. The larger the HDR image, the more memory intensive it is. The ones that are provided within the library or shipped with Alias are, I believe, 2K, 2048 pixels across in a panoramic image. And so those are fairly large and give you very good quality. The next question is someone that's looking for tutorials for Alias Sketch and for the link. The link that I had mentioned previous was for the tutorial, the trial version, the 30-day free trial of Alias Sketch. And that link is, let me just see if I can type this out here. And I believe I just sent it. I haven't checked that link, but that should work for everybody to get to the trial version. There's additional information on YouTube as well. So if you just search Alias Sketch on YouTube, you'll be able to find some additional videos that show you many more of the features than I was able to show today. The next question, what is the difference between Alias Design, Surface, and Automotive? So very quickly, the differences between the versions are Alias Design is basically your upfront design tool. All of the features that people looked up for, the features for concept development or concept model, painting, and visualization are included with Alias Design. Alias Surface is our complete surfacing package. It's going to have all the surfacing features for Class A modeling, for mesh or reverse engineering, along with all the visualization. Alias Automotive basically comes with everything. In addition, Alias Automotive now comes with pedestrian protection and a context analysis. These features are very specific to the automotive industry, so they're only available in automotive. For calculation for the environment, next question is the calculation of environment. HDR environment is made by the CPU or the GPU. Most of the calculation is all contained in the GPU on the graphics processor. So the more memory you have on your video card, the more you can do with the shading. However, the CPU is used for the tessellation and all the background stuff that happens for shading. A little combination of both. Next question. Does all the transformation of I'm not very clear on this question, so I'm not going to be able to answer that here. The next question, something that we didn't necessarily cover, but it's a very good question, is with Alias Automotive, or with any of the Alias versions, can we change several surfaces or curve degrees at the same time? And the answer is yes. With either the curve rebuild or surface rebuild, each of those found in either curve edit or surface edit, you're able to use those tools to modify the degree and spans of the surface or curve respectively, or multiple of them at the same time. So instead of changing the curve and degree in, say, the control panel, just use the tool and you'll be able to do multiples at the same time. That's a very good question. Are there any additional questions? Well, with that, I'd like to again thank everyone for their time and joining us for our concept development with Alias, with Autodesk Alias, and also like to thank Car Design News for the webinar series and allowing us to be part of it. This is a very great feature. It's a pleasure to be with you guys and be able to present it. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Kevin Richards of Autodesk for today's presentation on Alias software development in the area of concept design and modeling. Thanks so much, Kevin. To everyone who's attended today, please feel free, you can provide your comments and feedback via the Car Design News form. Also, if you'd like to leave this webinar again in the future, A link will be posted on the CDN website in the next couple of days. And you'll also find details there of all our forthcoming webinars. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.